Hello everybody and welcome to Snap Together. Well, I guess it's Snap Together Sunday now. I was just a little bit late there getting started. But welcome to my stream. Let me adjust my camera just a smidge here so you can actually see my face. There we go. Okay, so I'm centered in frame. Okay. As you can see, I am building Juco B Fighter SMP Kit Makes Pose Blue Beat. You might also know him as the Blue Beetleborg. I forgot to place my thing in one place. Put this here. Save that for later. Okay. Yeah, so it's Blue Beat from Kid Makes Pose. Supposed to be, here's the box. It has Blue Beat on the front, on the side, everything it comes with. I probably have to show this off to the top-facing camera. The back has some action poses, and then the side has a mural. Who's he fighting? I'd like to beat around the bush. He's fighting Black Beat. They form a set. So Blue Beat and Black Beat form a set because they are intrinsically connected. Black Beat is a clone of Blue Beat, in civilian form. Kai Tokyo's cloned into Shadow, and yeah, so they form a mural. It applies to the side of the box as well. Let me show this off. Has Black Beat fighting Blue Beat here. So that's what we're doing tonight. It's supposed to be about in scale the Figure-Rise standard kits, which I didn't bring one down. I'll have to get one when I get a chance. But yeah, that's what we're doing tonight. I will go ahead and switch over to overhead view and give you a better perspective of what we're doing. As you can see, I've knocked over... you can't see that. I've knocked that over, but... how much frame is this? Oh, that's Black Beats. Get my keyboard out of the way here. So, what was I saying? I forget what I was saying. As you can see, I've already opened the package and laid everything out because I wanted to paint up some of the parts here. Let me go ahead and take the tape off. Okay, good. It didn't get underneath there. That's good. I didn't want it to. And it didn't. So mission accomplished. So to touch that up with marker later. And the tip of the thing. Don't think anything else needed to be oh, the handle of the gun. Truth here. Okay. Perfect. Alright. My trash can is not beside me. Okay, so I took the time to spray paint the silver parts more silver. They were kind of grayish before, so that's why I went ahead and took everything out. But yeah, that's the nice objective. The silver parts on this frame are pre-painted, and this matches nicely. So yeah. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Let's go ahead and get into the build. As you can see, I've got a number of frames. Okay. Let me take another picture. Okay. So I shall be doing that. I shall be building this tonight. The goal is tonight I'll build Blue Beat, and then next week I'll build Black Beat and the Super Blue Beat armor parts, which come with this. Or come with Black Beat, rather. Got a little bit of stickers. We shall see if I need them or not. And this says parts list, the option parts. So I've got weapon holding hands. Yep. Okay. Take a picture of these stickers real quick. Wrong app. Okay, that's good. All right. Well, let's get into it and let's put on some entertainment for myself. What will it be tonight? I'm going to watch just some YouTube for now. Oh, wrong input. Chrome.
Before we begin, thank you very much to Rainy Day Man 2K for joining the Patreon campaign. How timely. It has been raining profusely here. Great living in South Florida. Great living in South Florida. But thank you very much for the contribution. Even if it's $1 or $2 a month, it helps keep the channel going, helps keep the daily content coming. And I cannot do it without you, so I do appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Today we are discussing something that came up in discussions, and I've seen it over on Twitter quite a bit, so we're going to talk about it a little bit here. And the question is, why do we still love the 1986 Transformers movie? It was weird. So I saw Rodimus Primal post this on Twitter and asked people this exact question. Literally, while he posts it, this will tell you, and literally while he posts it, someone is here at the shop asking me, and telling me about, like, Transformers 1, and telling me how the 86 movie is so much better. Okay, so number one, that's super weird. That's super weird timing. Number two, don't judge a movie that you haven't. Don't tell me that the '86 movie is better than a movie you haven't seen yet. That's pretty presumptuous. But also, 3, this will tell you that this wasn't plan A for the day, and I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants today, because plan A
We'll start with the head.
More research. So, yeah, we're just going to talk about the topics we're going to talk about something that's been going around. So why has it been going around? What brought this topic up again? Well, it happened to be an interview with some of the people behind Transformers 1, including Lorenzo di Bonaventura. Never fails to be a source of unintentional comedy. So, in this discussion, he said, what's so surprising about the '86 film is how dark it is. Honestly, I don't understand why people love it so much. So, here's the man who is in charge of the entirety of the Transformers movie franchise, and he doesn't understand why the original one works for fans. He doesn't understand why we love the original movie. He does admit that it might be because it's the first cinematic experience, and I'm sure for a lot of kids it was, but for most, I would say it wasn't. And this is also excluding the fact that a lot of those kids were traumatized. So what is it? Why is it? So, why do we hold on to that movie so dearly? I mean, yeah, because it's the oldest movie, and, we have so much nostalgia built up for it. But when we look at the movie itself, let's be honest here, it isn't the most original movie, is it? It is very much a hero journey story. It's a chosen one trope over the course of 90 minutes, and it is a movie that is designed specifically to eliminate last year's toy product line and bring in the new product line. And it is very cold and callous in the way that it goes about that, in a very corporate mandate way. So, yeah, story-wise, no, it's nothing spectacular. Now, that doesn't mean you're wrong for enjoying the story. I enjoy the story. But as someone who took a complete newbie into this movie for its theatrical run during one of the anniversaries, my friend was completely lost during this entire film. She went to see it with me because it was a mutual friend's birthday. She knew I wanted to see it. She was curious. Tried to show it to her once before on the TV. She fell asleep. So it's not something that's going to thrill everybody. The uninitiated, no, it's not for the uninitiated. So we'll examine this a little bit. So for me, when it comes to the story itself, I don't think the overall story to it is really that special. I think what makes it special is what it does for the Transformers universe in general. In Season 2, we just started touching on the idea that there's more to the universe than Earth and Cybertron. We started finding other planets. They started having encounters with aliens. And it expands the Transformers lore dramatically. And then the '86 movie expands it even further. So when you have something like, the Autobots on Junkion, on Junk, and discovering the Junkions, you realize there's more Transformers out there in the universe than you would have expected. That there are more Transformers out there than just Autobots and Decepticons. Because even when we found alien Transformers in Season 2, like Devcon, he was still an Autobot. Junkions, no. Junkions are their entirely own thing. And that was something completely new. That opens up the universe. You see the exact same thing when you see the Sharkticons with the in the Quintesson Judgment Pool.
I is here.
Welcome, Verdicts. Thank you for coming.
More Transformers out there.
I am building Blue Beat, not to be confused with Blue Beetle.
It opens up possibilities. Even the Quintessons themselves, just kind of showing that there's more dangers in the universe than just Decepticons. Because even when we went to alien worlds in Season 2, the Decepticons were still the main threat there. This, again, opens possibilities, opens up the universe. There's more in the galaxy than just Autobots and Decepticons, and that's the cool thing about the story. Though, as far as, while we're talking about writing, Yes, there's a lot of memorable quotes in this movie as well. I know people who aren't even like out there as
I think so.
Transformer fans, and they're just like.
Although I don't know why they'd fight.
But they know Ba Weep Grana Weep Ninny Bong. They will make that reference, and there's plenty of things in this movie that can be referenced. There are cool lines. You know, I have better things to do tonight than die. You know, little quippy things like that that I think even the live action movies are kind of missing, you know? Another thing is animation quality. Now, especially if you were growing up with the original cartoon, to go from season 2's kind of like hit and miss quality to the abundance of polish that was done for the animated movie, it's night and day. It's night and day. So even if you're just going back and like as a new fan and you want to experience that nostalgia, you're going to watch season 1 and 2, and then you're going to hit scenes like this that are absolutely gorgeous. Look at everything. Look at the detail. Look at the lights. Look at the colors. Like, it's so dramatically different compared to what we are used to.
All right.
Whether, you know,
we have a head.
Today, like,
That's a nice head.
The movie is beautiful. It's beautifully animated. So
What's this
there
piece
is
go
that.
to?
You know, there's that. There's this visual to it that I don't think CG compares to.
Is that the weapon?
Just because, like,
drill?
no matter what, you're going to be.
I think it is the drill, isn't it?
Two-dimensional art.
Yeah. Okay. That goes into
a
the
lot more freedom you can do.
Stinger
Things
Butte.
like this kind of show it.
No, Stinger drill.
We'll also mention.
And you formed the head.
And I'll form the head. Assembling the Japanese fuselage. I feel like that's not quite what it says. I'm going to interpret that as torso.
Soundtrack is definitely one. I don't care where you stick the Linkin Park song in the live action movies. It just does not compare to hearing like the 80s hair metal going on during big battle scenes. And even like the orchestral stuff is extremely well done, and it suits the atmosphere.
Why not the Korean fuselage or the French fuselage?
I don't have a good answer to that.
It feels appropriate, you know? It feels correct for the franchise and for the scenes going on. You know, it just sets the tone. The movie never fails to set its tone correctly. When Unicron first appears and the music that's playing, it's
no
dark,
one would expect the Spanish fuselage.
There's
that they would not.
Element of like impending doom to it, specifically done for Unicron. You know, and there's just things like that. Like in the movies since, there's no like tone. There's no way to like compare the tone of that, you know? Like the music in the live action movies tends to get lost under, you know, mechanical grinding and explosion noises. You know, it's just kind of a backup player instead of adding to the scenes itself. So there's that element. There is a musical element. And I'm sorry, but I fail to remember anything in the live action movies that's as cool as watching two robots sword fight while Weird Al is playing. You just don't beat that. The movie's daring. Can you imagine a modern Transformer movie killing off Optimus or Bumblebee and leaving them dead? And just letting a new character kind of carry the movie from there on out? Yes, overall it was a mistake on their part. Hasbro, in general, underestimated the popularity of Optimus Prime and how important it was to keep him around in the franchise, so they had to backpedal real hard, real fast on this one. But it was daring at the time, you know? Like, let's take our main character and kill him off. Like, I don't care if it's just, like, a pilot for a toy. At that point, you've got 70-some episodes of this franchise, and this is your lead hero in said franchise, and you just decided to show their death and make make it a major point in the movie, and it's not even that long. It's like 20 minutes into the movie, or not even, maybe not even that. Maybe like 15 minutes. It's amazing. It's amazing for them to even dare to do. Now, granted, like I said, it might not have been for the best, but it's a moment that makes the movie memorable. What kind of moment in the live-action movies compares to that? Where is the emotion? Where is the scene that has that level of emotional impact? I don't think there is one. I don't think you can find it, especially given the fact that usually when Prime dies, or Rise of the Beast, Bumblebee dies, spoiler alert, it's been long enough, they just come back, which undercuts the whole thing. Of course they came back. They're the lead stars of the franchise. And speaking of just, like, memorable moments, like, the charge of Optimus Prime, it really is, because all the odds are stacked against the Autobots. They're on the losing end. You see that they fought all night, and the Decepticons are winning. They're all exhausted. And then Optimus makes the charge to turn the tide of the battle, and this just like this iconic jump into the fray. It's like Superman swooping in to save the day at the last minute. It feels like that, and it's so well earned from the scene, the way it's set up prior to that. It just does so well. The closest I can come to this live action is the scene in like the Chicago battle, but the Autobots hadn't joined the battle when they charged in prior to that. They just joined in and just started mowing down Decepticons left and right. You didn't see them in a defeated state like you do here in this movie, which makes Optimus Prime's charge into the battle during the Battle of Chicago kind of lackluster. And then there's the whole part where he gets caught in a bunch of cables between buildings, so, yeah, he doesn't really look too heroic there. It's weird. I'm not a fan of it. Also, I'm sorry, nothing compares to the spectacle of Unicron. To start the movie the way they did, here's Lithome, this living planet. You see people going about their day. You see, these great buildings set up. You see children playing. And then a minute later, their entire planet is being literally devoured bite by bite. Well, the screen turns blood red, everyone is screaming and running, the ships can't escape, one ship gets away, and that's it. Those kids you just saw just a few minutes ago are dead. They're being devoured, they're being digested right now. That's really freaking ominous, and it's a beautifully animated scene. To just get across the danger and the scale of Unicron, and then to just have him float by as if this was no big deal. This man just committed Armageddon, and he just kept going. The way you would if you stepped on a bug and then just kept walking down the sidewalk. It's incredible. And you get that again when he transforms and just casually rakes his hand through Cybertron. Yeah, when you get to the live-action movie versions of Unicron, like, this just does not compare. It just doesn't, Because the build-up and the build-up is earned. It's well done in the original 86 movie, and it's lacking something when you see him in live action now. Maybe the future movies will be a little bit of a different story, but for now, what we've seen, yeah, I don't think the live-action movies have presented just this visual, like, something that's as visually stunning as what Unicron is doing in the original movie. I know it's realistic CG compared to, like, old 80s animation.
And then the chest piece,
that's not how your mind plays it out.
which I made sort of
I
paint.
can admit, new one's better animated. But I think for what they're going for, and I think the tone they're setting, I don't think it compares. In general, when you look back at the 86 movie, I think it stands out, and I think it's memorable just because of how it actually treats everything. What is the one thing that happens in the live-action movies that does not happen in the 86 movie? What is the one major thing? I've already described how I feel like there are elements of the 86 movie better done and better handled than in the live-action movies. Not to say the live-action movies are all bad, but personally, there are moments, there are elements that were done better in the original movie, and I think that's what makes it memorable.
H5.
But what's the main thing? The major
G8.
things the live-action movies always fail to do. They always fail to treat the Transformers as the main characters. Do you realize here that Transformers 1 will be the 9th Transformers movie that's theatrically released in the U.S. I'm sorry, Beast Wars 2nd, we're putting you aside for now. 9 Transformer movies, and it's only been the 1st and the 9th that were animated. That blows me away for a franchise that is primarily known for its animation. Most of us, there are people watching that grew up with the Bay movies, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for most of us, when we think back to the Transformers and we think of these big, memorable moments, they're in animation, whether it's 2D or 3D.
Okay.
For you live-action fans, I would even argue that sometimes those moments are so heavily CGI.
Build the lower torso.
All of them animated. But it's amazing, because it's amazing to me that, it's been that long. But those two movies, one and the original, have something else in common, and that is the human element is either downplayed or non-existent. In the 86 movie, it's really just Daniel as kind of like this C-plot. And in one, of course, there's no human interaction whatsoever. So they're the two movies that treat the Transformers as the main characters, and I can't say that about the live-action movies at any given point. The closest I would say these movies ever came to that was Mirage in the last movie, because it feels like he's had the most screen time and actual character development within the movie itself. I don't know any other Transformer character who showed noticeable character growth and development. Maybe Optimus Prime, but generally that was undone in the next movie. It felt like Mirage generally was like the first time a Transformer was treated like a full character, with maybe the exception of Bumblebee. And then I mean that in the Bumblebee movie. But even then, they aren't the main characters, are they? No, it's Charlie and Noah. Those are the main characters and where the majority of the plot focuses on. It's where the majority of the screen time focuses on when they're not in an action scene.
That was wrong side. No?
So just imagine this. So, it's weird to this. You go to a movie called Transformers, and the story was to focus on someone that is not a Transformer, whereas, literally, every other piece of media that we grew up with this franchise, again, all the animated stuff, all of that, that's all Transformer focused. Those are the main characters. And that's what makes them more memorable to me. Here's the comparison. Here's the comparison. It's like if you go to the Justice League movie, and do the thing that the Justice League movie did, which is here's some familiar heroes, and then a whole bunch the casual moviegoer might not be familiar with. We're just dumping them on you all at once, right? And that's kind of how the Transformer movies work. Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, but not everyone's going to know who Crosshairs is. Not everyone's going to know who Hound is. And even then, these are all new versions of those characters, so that's not even applicable. So it's like you did that. It's like if you had the Justice League movie, but instead of focusing on, Batman and Wonder Woman and those featured characters, you're just focusing on some guy. Not even like a Jimmy Olsen or like a known comic book character, just someone they made up. Like the last Mortal Kombat movie just invented a character to be the lead hero. Like that kind of thing. It's like if you just watch this and you're just watching the story of the guy who got wrapped up into the big Justice League versus Darkseid battle or whatever the movie's plot is. And the Justice League is just there for the action scenes and some exposition scenes, but you're really just focusing on how this affects the one guy. To be fair, there might be an interesting story in just focusing on one civilian stuck in the middle of a superhero routine. But at the end of the day, I don't go to the Justice League movie to see the story of Billy the civilian. I go to see Batman. I go to see Wonder Woman. I go to see Green Lantern or whoever's in the Justice League that month. I don't go for random guy. And that's what the live action movies do. They make me feel like I'm going to see the movie about the random guy. Or in the case of the Bumblebee movie, the random girl. Granted, done better in that movie, but still, it's only this movie, and now one, where I really feel like the characters that are the center of the plot and the focus of the movie are 100% the Transformers. You know, the characters of the franchise. I think that's one reason why it still endures, is because it is a genuine, pure Transformers movie. Not to be like, not to use that term as like purest fan movie or anything like that, but just it is a Transformers movie about Transformers and only about Transformers. You know, it's a movie about the franchise and the characters. That's what I think it has, and that's why I think it endures, along with all the other stuff, because frankly, that's all personal preference at that point. But for me, it boils down to, it's a movie about Transformers, which is not something I always get when I'm watching the CGI spectacles in live action. So, that's my thought. That's my whole breakdown of the whole thing. Once again, Bonaventura is a moron and he needs to keep his mouth shut. But, you know, sometimes I can get content out of it, so maybe not. But, those are my thoughts. Please, by all means, feel free to discuss it in the comments below. And as always, I will see you next time.
Console craze. It pretty much started with the NES Classic Edition, but you could probably trace it back to earlier with stuff like the Atari Flashbacks and the Sega Genesis Classic mini game consoles, and even the Neo Geo X Gold. You know, just repackaging old classic game systems with a slew of games for, you know, a slightly budget price potentially, and putting them into, you know, big box stores like Best Buy and Target, even places like Walgreens, where you just walk in there and go like, oh man, I remembered Altered Beast. The market for those have been around for a while, but the NES Classic Edition truly brought it into the mainstream, and ever since then, pretty much everybody who had the license to a classic game console tried to do it again, including Sega, and oh boy, did Sega try to do it again. Sega had a deal with a company called AT Games, or AT Games, where they would produce various Sega Genesis plug-and-play mini-game consoles with multiple classic games built into them. And they would sell them for maybe like $50 or so. And a lot of times these classic game consoles would appear, like I said, in Walgreens, Rite Aids, Walmarts, dollar stores, all of that stuff, where, you know, people that weren't really in the know about video games would shop. And they'd walk past those store shelves, they'd see that and go, sure. And you know what? It worked, because they had like so many versions of these Sega Genesis plug-and-plays released. But around like 2018, 2019, Sega knew that it was a good idea to kind of, you know, make a really big splash into the mini game console market that Nintendo initiated with the NES Classic Edition and SNES Classic Edition. So they announced the Sega Genesis Mini, done by AT Games. Sega may have had a relationship with AT Games, but it was not good for the kids, i.e. us. AT Games was notorious for their quality control issues. A lot of times, like, the game consoles themselves would be very cheap and really hollow. The controllers weren't great, and then the game quality themselves within the game console itself, playing the games, it just wasn't up to snuff. In my opinion, it was good enough, but when the NES Classic Edition cost $60 and these AT Games consoles were, you know, maybe $30, $40, $50, yeah, they may have been less expensive, but at what cost? So when Sega announced that they were going to do a Sega Genesis Mini in the same vein as the NES Classic Edition and SNES Classic Edition, and they announced that it was going to be at games, there were riots. So then Sega announced they were doing the Sega Genesis Mini in-house. They contracted M2, which was a company that's really well known for very high-quality emulation and game preservation. And they hired them to work on the Sega Genesis Mini, and thus we got one of the best mini consoles ever. The Sega Genesis Mini is legitimately phenomenal. It has so many games included. 40 games, and then 2 additional titles.
Interesting.
They really didn't have to go this hard with it, but they did, and it is so damn good because of it. They poured so much quality into this release. The controllers feel phenomenal. The game system itself, like, even the cartridge flap, even though it's not functional, it's still a flap. You can like put your little finger into it. And then there's a volume dial. It doesn't do anything, but it replicates the original Sega Genesis system. It is amazing. And then the game lineup itself, I mean, like, they have like all of the mainstays of the Sega Genesis library, or the majority of them. You don't get like Sonic the Hedgehog 3
Clip off the
and
pelvis, the back of the pelvis here, the butt.
But for the most part, you get a wonderful array of Sega Genesis games. Even games that you may not expect. There are licensed games. You get Disney games like Castle of Illusion and World of Illusion. Games like Contra Hardcore, Castlevania Bloodlines. Games from Konami that, you know, like, Sega could have easily cheaped out and just done like, oh man, like the Sega titles, you know, something that you'd see in like a Sega Genesis compilation on PS3 and 360 or PS2 or PS4 and PS4 and Xbox One. No, like, they went out of their way to find like all the licenses for all of these wonderful games, and a lot of these games are not made by Sega. A lot of these games are licensed. It's a phenomenon. And even then, they got the Tetris license. There is Tetris for the Sega Genesis here, which was an unreleased game. It never officially came out, and they got the Tetris license, and they were able to put this version of Tetris on the Sega Genesis Mini. And like, the NES Classic Edition didn't even have Tetris. And that's the system you'd expect to see Tetris on. An absolutely slam dunk of a mini console. It's really hard to find any problem with it. But the thing is, like, these mini consoles, like, everybody wants them, but, like, how much do you actually use them? That's kind of my thing, you know? Like, when a new mini console's announced, I'm like, oh, damn, this is gonna be rad. And then, like, you know, it's something where it's just like, you know, this is really cute and cool. It's a fun collectible, but the amount of love that goes into a Sega Genesis Mini like this, you know, like, for how much it gets used, at least by me personally, I'm kind of like bummed out how little I use it because, you know, like, it's its own dedicated device. I have to plug it in. I have to, you know, like, get it all hooked up, everything like that. And, you know, like, it's kind of like, would I do this, or would I just play most of these games on Nintendo Switch, of which most of these are available on that platform. And, you know, it just kind of goes to show how much these mini consoles are pretty much just kind of collector's items. So does it really matter that the game quality is great or the game quality is poor? I don't know. I mean, like, you know, to us, you know, like, if you're looking at it critically, you're like, all right, yeah. You know, like, obviously that makes this a better product overall, everything like that. But overall, I feel like most people just like these mini consoles because they're kind of cool for, like, a weekend. And then you kind of just put it on your shelf or throw it in your drawer and then you forget about it. Which is why I found it to be a little silly how people were kind of going like, what? When these were announced. The Game Gear Micro. So it was a warm summer night in 2020, and I remember seeing just an announcement pop up that Sega announced a new mini console, the Game Gear Micro, and I immediately felt like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. You know, it's really damn hard to play Game Gear games nowadays, especially in the form factor you kind of initially remember the Game Gear in. You know, like, if you don't know about the Game Gear, it was pretty much Sega's competitor towards the original Game Boy. And, you know, it had a color screen, a backlit screen, but it was really big and didn't really have the same support.
What happened here? What's not lighting?
Must-have games that the original Game Boy had. It chewed through batteries. It did okay, but it didn't do okay enough. And I think a major problem with the Game Gear library is that most of the cool games on the Game Gear are also available on the Sega Master System, and they're kind of a little better on that platform too. So the Game Gear is kind of more of a novelty nowadays, but it's definitely a novelty a lot of people are still nostalgic
Verdict
for.
subscribed.
But
I missed out on the GG Micro. I think it was Japan only though anyway.
A little more than
Sorry to hear that.
the stuff from the Sega
I don't
Genesis era.
really fall into this,
I'm kinda
so.
I want to see Sega Saturn and Dreamcast stuff real bad. And it's just kind of annoying to see Sega just constantly go back in the nostalgia stuff with the Sega Genesis era, because that's, it makes sense, because frankly, that was the era that they were, like, at their peak in. That was the era that people remember them for. That was the era that people like buying, like products from. And
Okay, one pelvis.
from and all of that stuff. But, like, there's only
Piece
so many
H6.
times you can re-release Sega Genesis era stuff to me, and I'm gonna be excited. At least this was somewhat different, but it was still kind of like, I don't know, man. But Sega was doing something that I really wanted to see Nintendo do, which was kind of do a mini console version of one of their handhelds. There was some talk around the time that the SNES Classic Edition came out, where people were talking about, oh, what if the next console is a Game Boy Classic? And it was the idea of like, oh, would you plug it into the TV? Would it be a standalone little handheld kind of thing? The idea of it was really, really cool. And Sega beat them to it. And they still f***ed up. So I bought these recently. I bought the whole set. There are 4 different colors. And even I already knew how small these things were. And I was still shocked at how tiny these boxes are. I mean, this is literally like the size of a cigarette box. So when Sega said Game Gear Micro, they truly meant Game Gear Micro. These are tiny. These are more so meant to be little keychains that you can play. And on top of that, as you can see,
So I spray painted
+4.
this earlier, but I want to make sure.
Per device. So
Actually get my
each
coverage.
of the different colors have a different lineup of 4 games. Couple that with the fact that these things are so damn tiny, why would you even want to play games on it? And you get kind of a confusing release. But to be fair, like I was saying with the Sega Genesis Mini, like even though that was such a high quality game system, I didn't play it as much as I wanted to. And that's just because, it's just like, what's more convenient? Plugging in that console every time I wanted to play, or just playing the games I want to play on the Nintendo Switch, and the games that are only on the Sega Genesis Mini, it's just like, well, too bad. The Game Gear Micro at least understands that it's just like, alright, this is pretty much just a collector's item. Let's just make something kind of cute and collectible that you can also play, but that's not a priority for us. But I want to see just how playable or unplayable one of these are. So we got black, whatever color, it might be yellow, it might be green, I don't know. You step a day in my shoes and you'll understand what it's like to be colorblind. Red and blue. So this one feels like it has a bit of a bigger variety of games. You have Sonic and Puyo Puyo on there at the very least. I have a list of the games pulled
Dots
up.
are down at the bottom, yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on the Game Gear, Puyo Puyo 2, Outrun, and Royal Stone. So pretty decent variety of games here. That's kind of a good, like, ah man, a little Sega variety pack there. Then we have Yellow. I looked up, it is Yellow. This seems to be kind of an RPG related one, or at least like mainly just Shining Force games. I believe this one is mostly RPG stuff. So you have 3 Shining Force games, and then a Puyo Puyo RPG. I can tell that's Puyo Puyo.
I wonder if it's because I
Over on blue, we
painted
have,
the inside,
Sonic
it's too
and Tails,
thick
which,
now.
Is Sonic Chaos over here in North America. Then we have Sonic and Tails, Gunstar Heroes. Let's see, Sylvian Tail and Baku Baku Animal. I know my go-to Game Gear Micro. And then I believe these are like some Megami Tensei games, Shinobi, and then Columns. Or at least I'm looking at a wiki page off
There we
here.
go.
So I believe Megami Tensei, Shinobi, Columns. So if these were all included in just one Game Gear Micro, not a bad lineup. I had to buy 4 of these things. And as little collectibles, like, yeah, this is kind of cool. I mean, like, it is kind of cool. Look how small these things are. But as an actual playable thing, gotta take a look at this. Alright, ooh, an egg carton, if you will. Oh, wow. That's fucking pathetic. So it literally just comes with like a very small little instruction manual. And here is the Game Gear Micro. Aww. So it takes 2 AAA batteries, and the D-pad, what's the word I'm looking at? Abysmal. This does not feel great. The buttons, at least everything's like very like very specific, as in like I feel like it'd be kind of hard to, you know, like it's
Okay.
easy to hit the buttons, which is
Verdict
very good.
scribe.
Oh, you can use
Super
this for
tiny
power.
is baby Game Gear.
You can use this.
Yep. Okay, we've got our torso fully built here. So we have to do some work on the belt, but what's next? The arms.
Volume, a little headphone jack, oh, you know, a little power switch, all of that stuff. You know, like everything looks very functional, and it's very commendable that they got this in such a small size. But it's just like there's only so much science can do until you say like, well, why are you doing that? Bro, cancer still exists. So I'm gonna plug this in. We're gonna see exactly how this all feels here. We're gonna see. Wow. I mean, like, I'm charmed. Overall, for something like playing Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on the Game Gear, this is pretty cute, and it runs very well. It's more playable than you may think. But then you start to play other games, like Puyo Puyo 2 included, which is near impossible to play.
Finish
Like,
off
with
J
Puyo
and
Puyo, you
K
need to see, like,
element.
the 2 colors and shapes of the little Puyo blobs, whatever. In Puyo Puyo, you need to see the 2 colors and 2 shapes of your pieces as you bring them down.
L12
And it's really
M2.
hard to see it on a screen that's the size of a postage stamp. And in a game like Royal Stone, like I couldn't even get past the damn menu screen because everything was in Japanese. Our run is like fine enough on there, but overall, you know, it's just like 4 games, and like the menu system is cute. It is really cute, and it is cool to play something like that on such a small device. Like it truly does work. I think what's the coolest thing about the Game Gear Micro is the fact that it works for how small it is. You know, it's on the verge of unplayable in some instances, but some games work just fine on it. The RPGs / you know, games like Puyo Puyo, I don't really know, man. But it's a cute little collectible device, even if the screen is too
D3 and
small.
6.
Which is where
That's the shoulder pad.
the Big Window Micro comes in. So this is based on an accessory you would buy for the original Game Gear, where it would, you know, magnify the screen size. The Game Gear Micro, the screen quality is just fine. The screen size is just kind of ass. So hopefully the Big Window Micro helps out with this. Pretty much, oh my god. It comes in pieces. So this obviously shows how much the Game Gear Micro is literally kind of just like a cutesy little thing. It's not meant to be taken seriously. I mean, like, you look at something like this and you're just kind of like, alright, why didn't you just make the damn thing bigger? But it's supposed to be like kind of a fun little like reference, throwback to the original Game Gear and how that all operated with the original Sega big window for the Game Gear. And, you know, now it actually makes sense. So let's see how much of a difference it makes. Not a damn thing. So in a nutshell, that's the Game Gear Micro. I know I didn't even get these open. I'll do that on my own time because it's going to be the exact same stuff, but with just different games and a different colored system. And also, I got these all part of a bundle for pretty cheap because you could actually do that in Japan. You could just get all of these in one bundle. Honestly, they were like, I think they were originally like $60 a pop. So like, or at least around that price. So about like the same price as you would pay for like an NES Classic Edition or a Sega Genesis Mini on its own for just one of these is preposterous. Obviously, this is just meant to be a cute little thing. I think it's really going with the whole idea that like mini consoles are kind of just more so collectibles. You know, it's really weird how excited we get over stuff like that and how much we want, you know, other mini consoles to exist. When in reality, like I feel like most people just kind of like they get them, they play them for a weekend, and then never again. But you know, as long as it makes you happy, you know, it's something where it's just like
Verdict scribe.
why not? Who cares? And honestly, the Game Gear Micro.
Kinda wish they had Sonic and Tails too.
It's such a dumb
The Sunset Train boss music was the best track ever made for a Game Gear.
I'm just like, you know, like
I wouldn't know.
It's a cute little collectible.
Unfortunately.
It's honestly like very high quality for what it is, which is just supposed to be a miniature Game Gear, and it does that pretty damn well. Now, of course, I would prefer if it was like, you know, at a better size and, you know, included all the games here and then some all on one thing. But as they are, you know, like, I think it's kind of cute. I could go without, you know, the separate SKUs and you know, like, as small as it is, you know, and this being the only way they're doing Game Gear mini console. You know, I would like it if, like, you know, they took the Game Gear in its original size and shrunk it down quite a bit, but, you know, kind of just made it more manageable because the original Game Gear is literally, like, oh, pretty big. So, you know, shrinking it down would be great. Not this much, though. But I think the fact that it's so small makes it cool. It makes it so then, like, this is more interesting than it would be otherwise because, you know, the Game Gear is, you know, like, it's beloved by many, but I feel like it just doesn't have the same excitement going towards it that other systems have, even Sega systems, you know? So if you're going to do a Game Gear Micro, I understand why they went this way, and I think it's cute, I think it's kind of cool. But it's also pretty worthless. But then again, a lot of mini consoles are. So, hey, if you're gonna go worthless, you might as well go fucking crazy while you're at it.
Thank you, Scott. Sure, why not?
Power Rangers is honestly magical, full of memorable characters, suits, villains, morphers, megazords, you name it. The franchise has been going on for 30 years now, and has always existed for one reason, and one reason only. To sell toys. Yeah, come on, Power Rangers is the perfect toy commercial. You see your favorite ranger wielding this awesome weapon, and you're like, hey, I want that. Well, now you can. Power Rangers toys are just as beloved and nostalgic as the TV show itself. Whenever a new season would drop, you knew you'd be in for some really cool toys. And being a Power Rangers fan my entire life, over the years, I've accumulated a few. So today I wanted to discuss and show off some Power Rangers toys from my childhood and beyond. Give a little throwback to the old days and just gush about my nostalgia. Now, content warning, I guess? Some of these toys have seen better days. While they are vintage, they are the ones from my childhood. Some of them are over 30 years old, and as a kid, I'd naturally make them fight and they'd break a little bit. So yeah, if that doesn't bother you, then I hope you can enjoy this nostalgic trip down memory lane. Hello, and welcome to my carpet, classic carpet shot. So what we're going to do is just go through all the Power Rangers toys I happen to own. So I decided to tackle this. We're going to start from the beginning and work towards the end. So let's start with the Mighty Morphin ones. Alright, starting off with the classics here. Oh yeah, you could tell that these were played with throughout my youth. These are the iconic flip head ones. I only have Zach and Billy. Billy, for some reason, has been through much worse. I mean, listen, before you start judging, I was a kid, right? The whole thing is that I make them fight all the time, and so I play a little rough. They miss body parts. What is cool about them is that despite missing a couple of limbs, the head flippers still work perfectly fine. The paint's a little damaged and worn off, but yeah, these are like the iconic Power Rangers toys. Whenever anyone thinks of Power Rangers toys or a collectible, they are thinking of the flippers, the head flippers. I don't know why I only have these two. I guess a funny fact is that these toys obviously have like male builds. They look like guys. Kimberly and Srini, they also had these builds. It was the same thing in the SNES video game. They just had one mold and they said, yeah, girl, guy, it doesn't matter. But surprisingly, yeah, these things still work. They go well. Do I regret busting them up a little bit? Of course, but you know, that's the nature of toys. When you're a kid, you know, you're not putting it on the shelf like an amiibo collection, making them fight the monsters and creating the most epic storylines known to mankind. It's Morphin time. Boom. Perfectly functional.
L9.
Perfectly fun. The shiny, high quality toy. Yeah, these are great. Now, up next is the Morpher. This is not one from the 90s. This is a, what was it, like a legacy collection thing? This thing was pretty expensive. It's really good. This is some high quality stuff. Let me knock it on the microphone.
I have that one.
Pure metal, this thing. The coin comes out. I have the dragon coin in there, and this thing is just so high quality.
Verdict scribe.
I think I have a battery in this
I was in a music video for an emo rock band.
Oh yeah.
Their music isn't really my style, but their new track could be a banger. I'll know for sure once they finish production.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Right now this way. You'll also share it to me once it's published. It's always fun to. I've never been on a music video. I've been, you know, I'd heard that they would sometimes do them around here, but I never got to be on one. G1 and 2. Here's that's on a separate sprue. Why would that be? No, that's the interesting.
Verdict scribe. Our friend is the bass player, but he's also playing lead guitar on stage and in some of their newer work.
That's cool.
Verdict scribe. They opened for Drowning Pool last month.
Oh, that's cool. That's a claim to fame. I3. I don't think this is gonna go through. This is gonna be a one-time fit. That's not coming off, not without a fight. And then I get my hand parts. Got the default closed fist. I'm surprised the cuff doesn't seem to attach to anything.
Verdicts scribe. Is past 1 a.m. Gonna hit the sack.
Alright,
Keep being Ultra Man.
I'm done with Ultraman actually. It is time to move on to Go Ranger. But thank you, I shall. Okay, one arm done. Stick this on here. And that'll go in the body like this. Okay. Alright, let's do the other arm, same thing.
So yeah, you morph, and you go, it's morphin' time, and Dragon Zord, simple as that. I always preferred the action figures as a kid, I wasn't a fan of like the morphers or the weapons. I like the action figures because I like to make them fight and break each other. I'm glad I got this as an adult because if I had something like this as a kid, 100% I would have destroyed it. I know they made morphers in the 90s. There's no way they were this quality though. They definitely were like, they must have been cheap plastic. I have no way of proving that. To readily sell this to kids at a Walmart, there's no way you could only sell the $60 metal version. I have the Tiger Zord coin somewhere. I don't know where though. I also have I don't want to pull it out right now, let's get a different shot. The Dino Zord. That thing is super high quality, dude. Like, I don't know. That thing, I think was like, I got it as a gift. I think it was $200 or so. Insane. I don't know if it's worth $200, but the quality of that thing, the sword is super big. It's a really high quality toy. The box it came in was super impressive too, so what can you do? Here's something that definitely did not come out in the 90s. On the surface, it's just a MMPR Red Ranger head, but just like the action figures, if you flip it open, how do you flip it? There you go. If you flip it open, it's a game. It's a Mighty Morphin plug and play. It's got the epic thing where the joystick is on the right side. I guess if you're a left-handed gamer, you finally got representation. I'm not going to show off any for this video because I may or may not be working on a video that involves Power Rangers and video games. So be on the lookout for that in the future. But it's a pretty cool thing. I think I probably got this as a Christmas gift, probably from a Walmart. But it's cool. I've never seen this anywhere really, anyone's collection. I'm not saying it's rare, but here it is. Now, I don't know what happened in my childhood, but I have zero Zeo or Turbo toys. Don't ask me. I was 3, I didn't buy them. So moving on, we have In Space. First off, we have the classic, the Morpher. I actually didn't have this as a kid. I bought this on Ranger Board. Yeah, I bought this from there. The wrist strap is very tight. It's obviously made for kids, not old man me. When I first bought it, I was in like middle school, I think, and I wore it a lot. Let me just put it like that. I wore this thing as much as humanly possible. Never took it off. I was at home. I'd be like, you know, doing chores or doing homework. I'd be wearing this thing just in case you needed it. You know, you never know when you're gonna have to bust it out. Up next, we have the what are these things called? Galaxy gliders. I don't have the figure. I don't know where it is. I remember having it as a kid. I guess I must have just lost it or something. But it also transforms, in Zane's case, I don't know if the other toys did it. It would make sense if they did. It turns into the cycle, the motorcycle. 2-in-1, classic. I unfortunately can't show off much of it though, because I don't have the toy to put on top of it. Well, that's not true actually. I do have these. I don't know why. I've had these since I was a kid. These are straight up the exact figures from the 90s, but they're still in one piece because I never made them fight because they were the girl toys, you know. I mean, you can't blame me. I was a little boy. I wanted the guy Rangers. So why I got Cassie and Ashley, honestly, beyond me. It blows my mind why I only got these, but it's funny. But they're all still in one piece, which I think is really cool. They're definitely pronounced, if you want me to call it that. Alright, now we got the big boy, the Mega Voyager. I also bought this on Ranger Board. Once I found out about that forum, it was like a fan forum, and there was like people selling stuff, I was like, oh, does anyone have this? I put out a post. And yeah, I gave a stranger my money when I was in like the 6th or 7th grade. I always wanted this one as a kid. By the time I was kind of growing up, I think Power Rangers in Space came out when I was 3, so I obviously had VHS recordings that I watched years later. So by the time I was like, oh, that is cool, it wasn't in stores anymore, and I could never find it. So when I finally got my hands on it, this was the first Zord I ever got that, like, I was able to build. You know, actually put it together like a Zord is supposed to. Shoutouts to whoever sold me this on Ranger Board. Now, while I didn't have the Mega Voyager as a kid, I did have the Mega Winger. And you can tell this is vintage because it's once again got that Super Nintendo pea yellow stain. I don't know why. The wings are perfectly white still, but the whole body is, you know, weirdly colored. Yeah, man, this is a classic. The Mega Winger. There it is. Of course, you just... Oh, well, there it goes. That's what happens when pieces are loose and I play with it as a kid. But yeah, it comes apart as it's supposed to, just like in the show. The hands will come out right here. Oh yeah. Oh, and the head pops out. Perfect. There we go. The blaster is also somewhere, I promise. I didn't lose that. A part of me appreciates the wear and tear, the yellow, the off color. You know, it feels vintage. It feels like it's mine and mine alone. I obviously really loved the Silver Ranger. I'm happy about it. There we go. Just like in the show, Wing Blaster, bang bang, classic toy. Also, what blew my mind was in the show, the wings can come off the Mega Winger, and it can go inside the Mega Voyager. Instant game changer. It blew my mind that these two things were compatible. Although it makes sense, that's what they did in the show. Why wouldn't the toys be like that too? Alright, up next we have Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Now, I guess as a fun fact, when I was working on the video, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy was like the most viewed Power Rangers ever up to that point. It beat Mighty Morphin, it had more toy sales, more toys released. I had no idea, but hey, you learn something new every day. So here I have Leo inside the, what the hell are these things called? The Jet Jammers? Is that Lightspeed Rescue? I don't even remember, but this poor guy, let me get him out of here. He took the most abuse as a kid. I don't know why, but he is missing both of his arms. His leg had like a bootleg screw job, like we tried to put a screw through it to fix it. There's one through his other leg too, so his joints don't bend. This guy is hanging on by a thread. The jet jammer works though. That's not busted, which must be nice. But yeah, this is really cool. There's probably missiles here, but look at the condition of Leo. You expect me to have the little missiles lying around somewhere? He's got the Lights of Orion though, which is pretty cool. I'll be honest. Probably the best power up. Let me know. Here's another thing I had: the Lost Galaxy Morpher. I think when I was really getting into Power Rangers, actually, it must have been during Lost Galaxy's run, because I have a good bit of Lost Galaxy merchandise, and this is one of them. You know, I don't think the battery works. I don't have a battery. I should have prepared this better. But yeah, you know,
Guillermo.
it's pretty high quality.
I wonder if G-Stack and Riddle will be next.
God, I hope so. I will buy them. I will buy the shit out of them.
I think it just makes like a...
Whoop. Didn't mean to skip ahead in the video. Where was I?
Broken fur is... Let me know. Here's another thing I had: the Lost Galaxy Morpher. I think when I was really getting into Power Rangers, actually, it must have been during Lost Galaxy's run, because I have a good bit of Lost Galaxy.
But yeah, all my money for G-Stag and Rettle, and then, you know, the Beefeater Kabuto team, the second generation, buy the shit out of them. Yeah. I just need to finish watching Beefeater Kabuto. I only got like a few episodes in. It was like a couple year or two ago. But yeah, I will, if they make them, I'll buy them. I'm hoping. Like so, they said that they would just, you know, basically depended on the sales of these ones, so I've bought them. So we'll just have to see what happens. If it ends up only being the brothers, then, you know, it is what it is.
Irayamu Guillermo. That's the story will all of us. You beat the hell out of your Power Tanger toys when you like 5 and 6. Then you grow up and buy SMP models and treat them like newborn babies.
Of course, I've still broken some of my SMPs, but yes. The SMPs are definitely treated better. Oh, my poor Don Kuga is not doing so well these days. That's backwards. There we go. My Don Kuga has a broken leg, and now I've also lost one of the ankle joints. Completely lost it somewhere in this basement. So I can't even combine them. I just got them all separated. So that's fun. I might buy a separate set. I don't know. It is my second oldest, I guess. Second oldest build after Voltron. And it's showing it. Get on there. Get back on there. Oh, come on now. You can do it. Okay. So, in case you missed my intro, I took the time to custom paint, well, custom paint, quote unquote, the silver bits, because there was kind of a silvery gray that they used, and I was like, I want some actual silver here, so I masked off the pre-painted parts and painted them up, spray painted them silver. It's been a little tricky on the belt there. I'll have to touch that up some more on my own time, but I think it came out well. The problem is going to be with Black Beat. I thought about trying to do all the parts at once, but there's a lot of pre-painted bits, especially for, you know, the armor. Of course, I picked the one that isn't. The Super Blue Beat armor has a lot of pre-painted areas, and like I started to mask this up. I'm like, I don't want to mess with that last night, whatever it was. So I might just have to use my paint marker here to do these ones rather than spray painting them. But that's going to be, I'll figure that out by next week, how I want to do that. Let's build some legs.
The battery works. I don't have a battery. I should have prepared this better. But yeah, you know, it's pretty high quality. This part is still kept up its shine, even though they never twisted in the show. The colors are still intact. The button, I think it just makes like a noise, like a or explosion noise. Now conversely, I got this. Now this is in very bad condition. I don't know what happened to the colors right here, but it looks like I ripped it off. I don't know why I would have done that. It's obviously cheaper. It's way more hollow. This isn't even shiny. It doesn't spin. What's the deal with this? As a kid, I always noticed that, like, oh, it's got like a little sensor right there, so it must just be a stupid laser pointer. But no, the Morpher is actually compatible with this. It's a very big, you know, Lost Galaxy. It's Leo. You could see on his chest right here that it's got the flippy head thing. So inside here, you can see. Oh yeah, that's horrifying. There's Leo just chilling in there. So it's a head flippy thing, and this controls it. So you're supposed to hit this button, and it flips. Now, as a kid, I would always just like forcefully jank it, and I would brute force his head to come out, which works because I haven't broken it. But yeah, it's just supposed to be a quick mechanical flip of the head, which is really cool. He's also missing a hand. Now, even if I had batteries, you put it in here. I don't know where the batteries go in this guy. You know, there's no, like, hey, put the batteries in the Leo here. I don't know. Oh yeah, this thing was definitely like part of so many fights. He's way taller than
I did not know that existed.
Figure, so I still have the Quasar Saber, which I am honestly shocked by. But yeah, as a kid, I was always like, how come this Morpher's way cooler and this one sucks? And you know, it wasn't until years later I realized, oh, one's actually a Morpher. I got this. It's a Lost Galaxy keychain. You could probably put it on your backpack, but it's still got its limbs. I think when it had a working battery, you could hit the chest and his eyes would light up. It's not like a laser pointer, but it would just light up. That's cool. You know, it's nothing crazy, but this is just a remnant of like the 90s. You know, it's not something that you see in a lot of people's collections just because it's a random knickknack, but it's really cool. I don't know what this is. It's the Toro Zord, obviously, missing an arm, classic me. But its fists are gone. I believe, if I recall correctly, you would hit the bottom of his little hoof here, and it would shoot out like a little missile, like his fist would fly out, like a flying power punch. But it doesn't transform, it's really stiff. It feels a little bootleggy. I don't know if this is official. The most you could do is like turn its head and now it's the bull, you know, like... It's cool. It was a big part of my childhood, but again, I don't know what you are. What are you supposed to do? You're just here chilling. Alright, now this always pissed me off as a kid. Excuse him, he's missing a leg. Why were, like, the toys starting to be bulky? Like, Kai looked nothing like this. Kai was not a beefed up roid head. I had this as a kid, and I honestly just hated it, because I prefer when the Power Rangers are slender and more athletic and limber, not muscle men. Yeah, look at that. That's real. He came with this. I believe, I don't want to force it in, because I never figured out how to do it as a kid, and I don't want to break it. I don't recall Kai ever having a spinny axe, but yeah, you know, it spins. Somehow still works. You would just put it in his hand, and yeah, this is classic.
Alright, 1 and
classic Kai
E3.
from Lost Galaxy. He weighed 315 pounds of pure muscle, and he had the spinning axe. This is proof that, like, yeah, we ran out of toys to sell, so we just created new weapons and new characters. This is not the Kai you know. Alright, moving on to Lightspeed Rescue. We got this damn thing again. It's Chad. Chad is the most not bulky person. He was doing the most kung fu kicks out of everybody. Though, to my credit personally, he's still in one piece. I don't know if the axe was supposed to go to him or Kai, because they're both the same build. They're both the same jacked Blue Ranger that totally did not exist back then. But yeah, he has this gun. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing another piece to him. You know, I'm not sure. All right, now we're cooking. We got Joel. Now this one is a little better, right? He's slender. He's movable. He looks like a Power Ranger. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I can find footage, this was a Happy Meal toy. I think there was only red, blue, and green Rangers because, you know, McDonald's loves segregation and making boy meals and girl meals. So if you were a boy, you obviously wanted the boy Rangers. I don't recall ever going to a McDonald's and getting this. This must have been like a garage sale thing that like my parents got me. But yeah, it's for a McDonald's toy. It's honestly very high quality. I would expect it to be dense and hollow. I have a couple of those Mario Kart or Mario movie toys that are just cheap plastic that I could sneeze and break them. This feels like an action figure. He has his movable limbs, his waist moves. Like you could have plenty of battles with this toy. This is a super high quality thing for McDonald's, which you know, goes hard. Chicken nuggets and Lightspeed Rescue. What more could a man ask for? Now these are a bit more obscure. These are walkie-talkies, believe it or not. You can see right there on the chest there's holes. I remember playing with them a little bit. I even have a Spider-Man and Green Goblin one from the 2001 Spider-Man movie, and I'm pretty sure Lightspeed was around 2000. So whatever company was making those toys, they were just hopping on everything. Spider-Man, Power Rangers, they're giant action figures who you hold this button down on their side, they're blasters, and you speak. You go, hello, reading. And you hit and the person on the other side hits it. They hit their side, you go, hello, yes, I can hear you. They didn't work too well. I would be in one room, and my brother would be in the other, and we could barely hear each other. I don't know. To get a better signal, I had to hold up their arms like this was the antenna. I think. I don't know if I was just gaslit into thinking that, but it's cool. They're fun little walkie-talkies. If you don't want to use them for walkie-talkies, you could just make them fight, which is what I often did because I'm not looking to have a walkie-talkie session. I'm here to make the Power Rangers fight. Alright, it's time for Time
L20 is
Force.
optional.
I don't really have that much. I have the Chrono Sabers. That's right, a little bit of them. It's obviously, it's seen better days. It is bent to all hell. It's busted right here. But what's cool is I do have the other saber, but you know, just like in this show, they're supposed to be able to connect like this, and then I can't even get a good angle with this. They're supposed to be connected together. I'll put up the footage, obviously, if you know what it looks like. It's a double saber, you're fighting, you could break them apart, bam, bam, bam. You know, it's got a trigger right here. Again, no batteries, did not come prepared. But it makes a noise, it makes a slashing noise, so you could fight and hit it, you know, you can work on your choreography. And you could switch the Ranger's tips on the second blade. So I have Wes's right here, but just yoink it out. Maybe there it is.
17 and
I also have
18.
the Blue Ranger. What's his name? Lucas. I remember. So yeah, you know, interchangeable tips. These were great cosplay things, or just playing But obviously, like, I break my action figures, you know, I don't think I'm gonna break the thing that I'm supposed to actually be swinging really hard against, you know? I'd be hitting trees and stuff thinking they're monsters, and oops, my toy's broken, but yeah, these things were really cool. Now, we've been on a good streak. I've been able to hit most seasons, apart from Zeo and Turbo. I have no Wild Force things. I don't know why. There's times I'm probably into Power Rangers as a kid, and my parents get me stuff for my Christmas, and my birthday and Christmas, but with Wild Force, nothing. I never gotten Wild Force stuff. But now we're reaching new territory. We got the Disney seasons, Power Rangers Ninja Storm. Now, this was actually my younger brother's, because, you know, I was getting a little too old, so they didn't get me anything, but he got this. I have not seen Ninja Storm yet as of recording this video. I'm going to be watching it for my, you know, series I'm doing on YouTube. Does this happen?
No.
Because I got this as a kid, well, when he got this as a kid, it was insane, because it's the Yellow Ranger, but you flip him around, it's a bear with a machine gun, or a wolf or something. Does this happen? This definitely looks like an American creation, because he's so jacked. And I don't know what you're supposed to do here. Like, you could put his head in, right? So his head is gone, but you can't move this all the way up. So it's like, I don't really know what's going on here. It's a weird toy. You can give him wolf legs. He's missing a hand and an arm. But this part just confuses me. It comes apart kind of. I am in awe with this action figure. This screams overdone, over-designed American toy. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way this happens in the show. This 100% was made for an American audience. Now, let's take a break from official Power Rangers. That's right, we have bootlegs, or at least a bootleg. I got this. Power Force. Classic show. You know, obviously came out during Ninja Storm's run. They have the Ninja Storm suits, right? You got the pink Ninja Storm Ranger, which is kind of cool to see in an art design. Yellow, blue, red, you know, crimson, navy. You got them all right here. You have all the Rangers right here. They look kind of high quality for bootleg Rangers, right? Well, believe it or not, I actually still have these toys. Here we go. There they are. Now, something you'll notice with these toys is that they don't look like these ones. For example, you can see right here, they have extendable or, you know, movable joints in their legs, like most toys do. These ones do not. They do not have, their arms move kinda, and they are Ninja Storm themed, but these things are so hollow. Like, here, listen to this. I am surprised they are still in one piece. These feel like McDonald's toys. These feel just absolutely terrible. Now, complaint number 2 I have, let's look at the Rangers compared to the box. We have the Blue Ranger, the Yellow Ranger, the Red Ranger. Okay, so far so good. But then we have the Green Ranger, who does not appear on the box, and the Black Ranger, who does not appear on the box. I don't know why they made 2 Rangers who don't show up on this box at all. There's no pink, no light blue, no crimson. It's insane. Get out of here. So on the bottom it says 41 piece play set. So there's 41 pieces here. So, you know, you got your Ranger and you just have like plastic little things that you can clip onto them. They have the Lights of Orion claws. You know, like the thing they get right there. And they had like swords. I can't find a lot of them. They were even flimsier than this. And they only came in red and blue. So it was like, you have all these other colors, but only the red and blue ones had actual colors. But yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's genuinely a I know I'm kind of dogging on it, but it is a fascinating piece of like bootleggery. So they have the Ninja Storm mask, and they're obviously Ninja Storm designed. But they have the, you can't even really see it. It's the In Space logo, the big gold square with the V. So it's the In Space belts with the Ninja Storm outfits and all of their upgrades were Lights of Orion based. There were shoulder bands you could put on, like the Lights of Orion jewels, another belt, the claws. It was just the Lights of Orion. So they mixed 3 seasons all in one. So shoutouts to Power Force. Whoever you are, I hope you're still around, believe it or not. Please send me more Power Force stuff. I love the Power Force. Moving on to more official pieces, we have Dino Thunder toys. You know, around this time, it was 2004-ish, 2005 was whenever Dino Thunder was around. I was in like the 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade. I was getting to that point where I was like, I'm too old for Power Rangers. So my collection from here kind of starts to lack, for, you know, lack of a better word. So here we have, you know, I think there's Super Dino modes. One is normal, one is golden. I don't know if he does both, but yeah, they're fun little action figures. Great, they're still in one piece. Because I wasn't 4 when I got them, I was like 12 or something, so I was a little more cautious not to just break them entirely. Which leads us to SPD, Mystic Force, Operation Overdrive. Nothing. I was in middle school by this time, so even more I was not watching Power Rangers. I wasn't getting Power Rangers toys.
F3 and
My parents didn't want to buy me
8.
toys when I was in the middle school, which is fine, I understand. But things slowly started to change. Here we got a Jungle Fury figure. He looks weird. Casey looks a little messed up. So I'm missing more of the pieces. I don't know where they are. I'm trying my best. But they're like Megazord pieces of the Jungle Fury Zord that attach onto Casey. So you could take them all off, and he's just a regular action figure. But you have the 5 pieces. I'm obviously missing a couple of them. And he turns into the Zord. So I have an arm and 2 legs. Cost you an arm and 2 legs. So what I'm missing is the chest piece and helmet and the other arm. I know it's somewhere, but yeah, this thing's really cool. I actually would love more of these. Like, I would love a Mighty Morphin Red Ranger that can wear the Thunder Zord or something. That would be really sick. Which now leads us, again, to the Neo Saban era. So around 2009 or whenever RPM was around, I had a renewed interest in Power Rangers, but I was an angry teenager. I thought Saban was better, these Disney seasons suck. In 2010, when Saban purchased Power Rangers again and said, hey, Power Rangers is back, and it's gonna be on Nickelodeon, I thought, we are so back, baby. And Saban marketed the hell out of Power Rangers Samurai. There were commercials non-stop promoting it. They were in the Macy's Day Parade. There were commercials like at 6 p.m. at Nick at Night. Like, they did not care. They were pushing this thing everywhere. They had so many commercials and toys that were released for Samurai for a season that was kind of mid, but we'll get there when we get there. I had a renewed interest in Power Rangers, and my parents were kind of like, oh yeah, I do remember you like Power Rangers. Okay, so we were all kind of on the same page again. So I started to get toys again. You know, this is the classic Walmart one. He comes with a spin sword and a fire smasher. Yeah, I don't know where they are, but I know I have them somewhere. Again, I got it as a high schooler, so definitely none of these toys should be broken anymore. These things should be actually in good condition. There is no reason for these toys to be messed up, so this is a classic. I got the Samuraizer right here, right? Bam!
Oh, it's his holster. Okay.
It's a piece of plastic. You know, the buttons, there's no batteries. Is there? There might be, actually. There is actually a button for batteries. I noticed this right now. Never in my 10 years have I noticed that you can move this and it makes noise. That blows my mind. I feel kind of stupid. But yeah, it's, you know, a Samuraizer. I love this thing. At the time, I was all on the Samurai train, so I thought it was so cool. They, bam, flip it open, they draw their symbols. Coolest thing in the world. And then I got a couple of miscellaneous things. You know, I got the, what the hell is this? It's the sword that controls the Zord. You pull this thing and boom, it extends. Ooh, I do. So you hit the button. Oh yeah, it makes noise. So you can go bam. Right? I don't remember what these things are called. I think they were American made for some reason. They already had the spin swords, so they had to make another sword. You know, you fold it like this. You put it in the Zord and you control it, you know? I don't know. It's cool. It's in nice condition, though. It's good cosplay stuff. And now we move on to Power Rangers Mega Force. Probably the biggest disappointment I would say, of my entire life. And this man is to blame. This tiki-headed bastard Gosei. No, to be honest though, this was really cool. It's the Morpher. It's not my fault they used a giant tiki head, but it was cool. You would... Oh my god, it's on. And there's a card in here. Alright, so yeah. You bust it open, you put in a card, and then you do this. Alright, whatever that means. Let's turn this off. I don't want to waste the batteries. Alright, upon further research, you can't turn this off. It's perpetually on, really? But there's an option that says on, and there's an option that says TCG. Now, the thing about Megaforce, oh Jesus, and Goseiger, was that it was card-based. I have a bunch of cards right here. So, these things are honestly the coolest thing in the world. They are cards, you know, they got like original artwork, I think, and they were all meant to be... They promoted the season, right? And I thought that they were going to use these cards, you know, in Super Megaforce. When the Rangers turn into past Rangers, they have to use the keys, but that's adapting a whole other season. So my thought here was like, okay, well, here's a, you know, what the hell, Go Ranger on this card. Maybe this is how they're gonna do it. You know, the Megaforce Rangers will turn into past seasons via these cards. Then you can also promote the cards and sell more toys. It can be like a new Pokemania if you promote it like Samurai, because Samurai had insane toy sale numbers. That's not what they did naturally. They just released these trading cards so you can play a trading card game with your friends if they happen to be into Power Rangers and also buy the cards. I don't know why they did that, because it is a genius idea. Like, you could sell more toys with this. This is how the Megaforce Rangers could turn into the new Rangers, the Legendary Rangers, is via the cards. But regardless, they're cool. I really love, obviously, the Legendary Ranger stuff. Those are the ones that look more interesting. These are the ones that I actually... Oh, that looks really sick. I haven't gone through this in a while. Yeah, like, the artwork used here is insanely good. I love these things. You know? Like, this is the only time Neo Saban showed Disney any love. So it was like, oh, finally, you get like a high-res Ninja Storm and Mystic Force card. Here you go, I got a Mystic Force toy now. But yeah, getting back to
I'm refrain from putting the sticker on it right now because I want to touch up the gun. So there's a way to be able to paint that anyway.
Let's take out
It fits in snugly. All right, let's put the leg on.
You know, a card. Let's just say it's a Casey card. Power level 1. So yeah, this is actually a pretty functional toy. I love it that it's compatible with like all the cards of past seasons. It's like Super Mega Force if it was almost kind of done right. I hate stupid Gosei, but what can I do? Well, it's what I got. After Mega Force, we had Super Mega Force. Just kidding, Super Mega Force sucks. It's not a Power Rangers toy, but hey, it's Gokaiger. It's the Japanese Sentai counterpart. It's way better. I don't care. This thing is super cool. You know, I'm just showing it off at this point. Yeah, I got a couple of Ranger keys here. I bought them. It comes with a couple, but after that I had to buy my own. And just like in Super Mega Force, it is cool to buy a bunch of them and start lining your bed.
Let's make the other leg.
Really cool decorations. I got some from every season. We have a Saban, we have a Disney, and then a Neo Saban. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, you put these things in here. How do I turn it on? Oh yeah. So you take the key, you flip it. Do I still got it? Oh yeah, look at that. Put it in. It's still really cool. They did make some in America. They made this obviously the same exact morpher with keys, but the keys are worse. Actually, I think I have some. Alright, well I could have sworn I had some, but they're smaller than this. So I would say, like, if this is the regular Japanese key, the American ones come up to like here. It's really weird. I don't know why they, I guess to save money, but like, don't you already have these toys? You just make them speak English instead? Whatever, like, they're not as good. Just like the rest of that season, it sucks. And I'm usually not a Sentai is superior kind of guy, but here, I mean, how could I not? When this is what we're dealing with here. I mean, these are peak keys. And these are great stim toys. Legit, when I first bought these, I would just be hanging out with it, learning how to flick it open. Because it's not mechanical, there's no button. I'm showing off at this point, it's nothing. You know, they're plastic toys that, you know, you have to flip open manually. But if you get your finger just right underneath there, boom, you can do like you're in the show. Which is, it's cool. It's cool to me, I guess. Alright, Dino Charge. This was actually the last toy I got as a, you know, a Christmas present. Because by this point, like, I was graduated with high school. I'm done with school by this point, right? So, this was just like a, you know, here's a fun little Power Rangers thing. But after that, I stopped getting toys. It's the Morpher. It's really cool. The capsule is in here. I see it in there. I don't know how to get it out, though. Yeah, I genuinely don't know how to get it out. It's in there. The little capsule charger. T-Rex charger. I don't know how to get it out, but yeah, it's a cool thing. You know, if you're into the Sentai, you can do the dance. It makes noise. Does this thing even... Does it make noise? Honestly, after Super Mega Force, I was so disappointed in Power Rangers. I just totally skipped Dino Charge. I've heard it's good, but I was like, if they can't get this anniversary season right, handed them on a silver platter, how can they get anything else right? So I really stopped being a fan of Power Rangers by this point. So I have no Dino Charge, Ninja Steel, what's after that? Beast Morphers. I don't have anything of that because I was so disenfranchised. But yeah, that was my Power Rangers toys collection, you know? I hope you had a fun time. I tried to keep it as real as I could. I thought about scripting the video, but I realized it would just be much easier if I just spoke from the heart, since these are toys and experiences from my childhood. You know, these are the things I grew up with. So yeah, it was easy to just ramble on and pulling out, you know, I didn't have a lot of the famous toys. I didn't have a lot of them that were in good shape. It's just a realistic look at a collection. So let me know what you think. I hope you were able to enjoy the video, and leave a comment down below or tag me on Twitter and Instagram showing off your collection. I'd love to know your favorite toys or action figures or whatever. Thanks for watching. Mwah.
Just after having this huge celebration about this Power Rangers video game that's coming out that I'm super excited for, the more Power Rangers giveth, the more Power Rangers taketh away. What is the possible future for Power Rangers? This is actually a topic I've been thinking about for a while now, because in 2023, Power Rangers went hard for its 30th anniversary. We had the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always special that I personally felt put the Power Rangers franchise back in the minds of people who haven't thought about the franchise for a while, as well as being something new for Power Ranger fans and 90s kids. Also, Hasbro dropped some specific 30th anniversary Power Rangers action figures, and other collectibles popped up as well. Then we had Power Rangers Cosmic Fury, using the same cast as Dino Fury, having a shorter season of 10 episodes released to everyone at the same time, and being slightly more intense than usual, that it was no longer on Nickelodeon and only on Netflix, and got a lot of fans excited. But even enjoying Cosmic Fury, there was always the question, is this a season finale or a series finale? And that's because there had been talks for the past few years about Hasbro working with Netflix to create a Power Rangers shared movie and TV universe under Jonathan Entwistle, which many saw as a possible reboot for the franchise. Then things started happening. Once and Always came out, there's been no talks of a follow-up. Cosmic Fury comes out, there's been no talk of a new series. The comics current run is ending. They're still going to possibly do Power Ranger comics in the future, but this current run is stopping. They have Playmates going to be doing the toys now. Lightning Collection is paused. And now there's even a report that I must make clear is not from Hasbro officially and not from Netflix officially, but it is being reported that supposedly Netflix is no longer moving forward with the planned Power Rangers reboot. So if that ends up being true, this
It's from Deadline, right? Deadline's pretty reliable.
What is the possible future for Power Rangers? So what does this mean for Power Rangers? As of right now, as it's been for a little bit right now, it's still on pause. We're not going to get any new Power Rangers movie or television show until somebody comes in and wants to do a new Power Rangers movie or television show. That means that either someone's going to have to come in with an idea to pitch and then go around to the multiple studios to pitch to see if someone picks up, or one of the studios is going to have to come in and go, we want to do something with the Power Rangers brand, and they work with Hasbro. Hasbro still has the license to the Power Rangers brand. They're just looking for someone to make the Power Rangers content, kind of similar to how Hasbro has its connection with Paramount when it comes to Transformers. Paramount makes the Transformers movies. They've done the live action ones. They got the animated one, Transformers 1, coming out. So Hasbro says, go do that. You handle that. We'll give you some notes here and there of what we want to do in regards to the brand, but someone basically heads that up. So I'm assuming that that's what they want with Power Rangers. They want some studio to be like, we want to have the rights to use the name. We're going to create the thing. You just give us the notes to see if this aligns up with you, and then we move forward with making a Power Rangers movie or show with the Hasbro brand on it. Now, who's going to do that? That's the big question. If Netflix was heading it up, they would more than likely end up on Netflix. We would not have gotten a theatrical release of a Power Rangers movie, or at the very least, they would maybe do like one of those short theatrical runs that they do. But they usually do save that for like their movies that want to get nominated for Oscars and stuff. Most of the movies made by Netflix end up on Netflix. So it's possible that if another studio comes along, one that actually puts movies out in theaters, then the next Power Rangers movie could actually end up in theaters. Say if like Universal or Warner Brothers or Sony or Paramount or Disney, you want to come back? Or a smaller company could come up with the idea, the concept, and get another studio to distribute it, and that ends up on the big screen. That would be cool. Now, of course, the other possibility is that one of the other streaming services could pick it up and say, hey, this is going to be a new original movie or an original series for us, and then we end up seeing it on Peacock or Paramount Plus or Max or Disney Plus or Tubi. Tubi? Power Rangers and Tubi original. You know what? That's crazy, and I wouldn't put it past them. I would not be surprised if Power Rangers became a Tubi original. But of course, this all depends on if somebody wants to do it. Now, if this was 2020, when everybody was trying to have a streaming service, I think everyone would be trying to scoop Power Rangers up, because another franchise, another IP that they could have as part of their streaming service to try to lure more people to buy a subscription, I think they would have been all about it. But given how things are in the streaming service business nowadays, it might be a little bit tougher for somebody to want to invest in a new IP, especially if they don't think that that IP is going to bring a lot of new subscribers. And truth be told, the problem is even the case with theaters. Who is going to be willing to take the risk to say, let's make a Power Rangers movie, put it out in theaters, and think that that's going to bring a crowd? Obviously, it's something that can't happen. Obviously, it's something I would like to see happen. It's more of a matter if a studio that's willing to put some money into it is going to see that happen, or thinks that that's going to happen. Then, of course, there's the question of what someone will do with Power Rangers if they were to take it on. Will they make just a movie? Will they make just a TV show? Will they make a combination of the two? Will they be shared universes or different universes between the movie and TV show? Will they want to make it for a younger audience? Or do they want to try to make something for the older audiences who grew up on Power Rangers, try to hit the nostalgia? Will they reboot it completely? Will they continue the storyline that we've had for the past 30 years? It's a lot to have to think about just by getting this license. With some other franchises, you just grab it, make something, and go. With Power Rangers, you got a lot of choices to make. And there's pros and cons with all the options. So, for example, they can do what they've always done. They can just grab a Sentai, make their American or New Zealand footage or whatever, mix around it, and put new season out. And that could be it. Just do that formula that's been going on for several years, just under somebody else. The same way that Saban did it, the same way that Nickelodeon did it, the same way that Disney did it, the same way Fox Kids did it. Back when Saban got Power Rangers back and was putting it on Nickelodeon, it was on Nick at like noon or 8 in the morning. And this was before we had all the streaming services that we have now. And then when Power Rangers would end up eventually on Netflix, it would be like several months later. And then, of course, there was the whole issue with international stations being able to show later episodes of Power Rangers before we got them, so a lot of stuff got spoiled. But now, if you have a studio come in, obviously they're going to either have a streaming service or a connection to a streaming service, so they can do something really easy where they can say, hey, it's going straight to that streaming service as soon as it comes out, or maybe it airs on TV, but if it's on a TV station that's connected to the streaming service, like say if it's on a Universal TV service, they could be like, it airs on TV as well as it's going to be on Peacock. So I feel like the distribution of it could end up actually being better, and it being on a streaming service might bring some new eyeballs to watch it because it's just accessible there that maybe would not have tuned in to 8 a.m. on a Saturday on Nickelodeon to watch it. So this could actually work in his favor if you just want to do the same thing as you've always done, just aiming for that niche audience. Though the hardcore people are going to come in and check it out, and then maybe with your new distribution system, get some new eyeballs that maybe would not have seen it before. Or you can go the Cosmic Fury approach, which is you still use some Sentai footage, like what they did with the Zords, but then everything else is original. So it's more original footage than you used before. And then, of course, there is the option to just get the Sentai out completely and do all original footage. Now, I do think that's obviously a challenge because that means that now you're going to have to rely on yourself to make the Zords and the weapons and the monsters and everything else. But in the days of CG or other technologies, we're going to see some AI monsters, some AI Zords. But obviously with the technology that we have today, it is definitely possible for someone to be able to make a fully original Power Rangers team, suits, Zords, monsters at all. But is someone willing to do that, especially if they know that they can go right over to Japan, grab some footage that's already done, and put it in? And because the way that Japan is doing Super Sentai footage now is actually looking a lot more seamless between our footage and their footage than it looked before back in the day. So it's very possible to keep using that formula, but we also end up in a situation, particularly with studios, where they want to own everything. The more IP they have and the more they own that IP, the better. So they may not want to share someone else's concept. They might want to make a concept 100% theirs because they own it 100% theirs, and they can make all the profits 100% theirs. And that's just talking about TV show. Now, obviously, if you do a Power Rangers movie, you're going to have to make that all original. And then with that, deciding if you're going to make a movie that's going to be a movie straight to streaming service, straight to television, or if it's going to be a big screen theatrical thing. Then you have to decide how you want to do the continuity. Power Rangers has 30 years of history, which is great and challenging because you have the challenge of tapping into a new audience, pleasing a nostalgia audience, and making a new audience feel like they don't have to do a lot of work or homework to get into whatever the new thing is because it does have a history with something from the past. Everyone goes through it. It's not just a Power Rangers problem, it's a problem all around, but it is something that Power Rangers has to think about, especially if you want to keep aiming for younger people as your target demographic, but you want to keep referencing things that were made years, in some cases, a decade before they were even born. And then on the flip side, somebody that you're trying to get into because they've watched Power Rangers for 30 years, but then you keep going, but it's a kid's show. It's a confusing thing. That's why I've always been the argument of I think there should be two paths of Power Rangers at this point. I think you should make something brand new for new audiences that get them tapped in without any prior Power Rangers knowledge, and that can be aimed for a younger audience, that can be silly, that can be goofy, that can be funny. And then you have sort of a legacy Power Rangers series, movies, specials, whatever, kind of like What's It Always, but even go a little bit deeper into that. You can use original cast.
Okay,
just like
Blue
with
Beat is
comics, you can have
done.
Wolf be the center of it all because that's the go-to for the casual fan. And then from there, you can introduce other teams through that. And with Once and Always, you had that opportunity because you have Min. Min is brand new to the Power Rangers world, so any Power Rangers that she meets is going to be new to her and needs explanation. So that way, any audience member that's watching and gets a Power Ranger they don't know will then get that explanation right there and there. If they have to go into space and team up with Selwyn Ward, first black leader of the Power Rangers, then maybe that will be the opportunity to be like, well, let me tell you about the Power Rangers in space. If they have to travel through time to meet the Time Force Rangers, then they can explain what they're all about. Use some stock footage, do a backstory, boom, done. We get to go. Now everyone's caught up. You don't have to go watch 40 episodes of something to know what's going on. And that can be something that's a little bit more niche, a little bit more mature, because you know you're catering to people who grew up on this. I've also thought that the concept of a Force Awakens type of Power Rangers could possibly work. You know, we got men now. JJ has been referenced a couple of times. Why can't we have the daughter of this ranger, the son of this ranger, the nephew or niece of this ranger? I know it's cliche, but it's an easy way to have a new ranger team while still having them connect to the past. Because that way you can still tap into a newer audience by saying, this is your team, but then to the older people be like, but hey, they're the sons and daughters and nieces and nephews of that team you grew up with. You know these folks, right? So come on in. Because the other option is you pull out the big red button, you press it, and all the Power Rangers of the past is gone, or at the very least nowadays will be in a multiverse somewhere, and then you just start completely from scratch. And truth be told, some studios are going to maybe want to pick up the Power Rangers IP. That's probably what they're going to want to do with it. They're probably going to want to make a revision version of Mighty Morphin, cast a new Jason, Kimberly, Billy, Trini, Zach, Tommy, new cast members, just like what they did with the 2017 movie, and just start from scratch to make it their own, while obviously still playing off the Go-Go Power Rangers that people remember from the 90s. There is a theory that I have. I don't know if this is happening. I got no inside sources, but just hear me out. Transformers Rise of the Beast comes out, and at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, we find out that an organization wants to meet and possibly work with the Transformers, and that organization is G.I. Joe. And they've already announced that a new live-action movie is going to be coming out, live-action CG movie, with Transformers and G.I. Joe together, a crossover movie. Those are both Hasbro properties. So hear me out. What if the new creative direction is we create a brand new Power Ranger team, we get new actors, they play the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers before that we know, but in today's age, new actors playing those characters, new Power Rangers, everything, and then at the end of that movie, someone comes in and goes, hey, we know about you Power Rangers, and we like what you do, and we need some help to save the world, because y'all fight monsters from space. We got some space robot transforming cars, and we also got a terrorist organization with a Cobra commander, and we might need you to join up. And then that leads into a Transformers G.I. Joe Power Rangers crossover movie. I'd buy tickets. I'm just wondering if that's the case, because look, if I was Hasbro and I got all these franchises and I know there could possibly be a way they could all work together, I'd be eyeballing the MCU and the DCU and be like, okay, we can't have an HCU? I keep wanting to call it an HBCU because of Hasbro, but that's not what that stands for. I would not be surprised if they are not trying to create a universe that Power Rangers can connect with Transformers and G.I. Joe, but in order to do that, you need a brand new team to do that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, I'm just saying I can see it happen. Then, of course, there's the question of if it's going to stay live action. I know there's always some back and forth about this, but I personally would like to see Power Rangers do something animated, and I don't even care if it's anything from adult animation or anime style to straight up like Disney Junior, Nick Jr. Power Ranger babies. I don't care. I just would like to see what would happen in the world of Power Rangers if they had animation on their side, which means they could do anything they want, and that could be even if they wanted to continue the stories of the Power Ranger characters we know, if they wanted to do like an adaptation of the Boom comics, because I saw that Ultraman trailer, the new Ultraman Rising, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a thing? We're taking a Toku and making it a animated thing? I would just like to see it. I don't know what it would take to make that happen, but I would like to see that. Just once. I can see all of these things happening. And the thing is, at this point, man, I don't care. I don't care what they do with it. I just want something done. I don't care if you continue what we've had for the past 30 years or just start completely from scratch. Just somebody come in and do it. I understand that things break down. I understand that sometimes negotiations or deals don't pan out. But it's just wild to me that they made this whole big announcement. Jonathan Entwistle's coming in, and we got showrunners and this, that, and the other for like the past few years to now be told nothing's going to happen. And that's how I felt after 2017. It's like, we got this movie, you probably could make some tweaks and make a stronger sequel, and they're like, nah, we're done. Sell it to Hasbro. Once and always, got people invested in Power Rangers again. Even people who haven't thought about Power Rangers for a while, could have been a great springboard to a new, more mature Power Rangers franchise, even if it was just a series of specials that could introduce a bunch of different Ranger teams into it and get them all acquainted to make them more popular so you can have more toys and things based on them. and then maybe get some nostalgia. We'd be like, oh, I never saw that season. I can watch that now because it's available on Netflix, who took off almost all the Power Rangers seasons. But they're like, nope, not gonna do that. Then you have Cosmic Fury come out, you make freaking Zeta a Zenith Ranger, you do this whole thing. Done. You know, it's like there's all these opportunities to be like, all right, we could springboard and start Power Rangers anew from here, whether continuing or doing something new. And it just seems like every single time it stops. I'm tired of it stopping. So I don't care at this point. Reboot it, continue it, new generation, same generation, multiverse, live action, animated, puppets, you know, animatronics, anime. I don't care how you do this thing. Stop motion, Spider-Verse it. I don't care. Just somebody say, I got Power Rangers and I'm going to invest in it, and I'm not going to jump and bail ship the moment that it feels a little rocky. The moment this one thing doesn't make as much money, or the moment that this one thing doesn't interest me as much, I'm done with it. I'm just tired of I'm done with it. And that even includes when it's been sold off to Disney and back to Saban and to Hasbro and everything. I'm just tired of this poor franchise being passed around. I just want somebody to cradle it and be like, I got you, Power Rangers. I got you. We're doing this together. And whatever comes out of that, I'll support it. Or there's also the option that Hasbro's like, we're done, and they just sell the whole thing off. Which, you know, you don't want to think that, but like, I can see that happening too. I can see Hasbro just being like, hey, someone gave us some money and want the whole thing, bye. Everything, the whole brand, gone to somebody else. It's happened before. It could happen again. Yeah, man, there's a lot of options, but like I said, at the end of the day, man, I just want somebody to do something with it because I love this franchise and I want something to happen with it. I know part of it is because I love it, I collect it, I enjoy it, and I don't even know everything about Power Rangers. I made that very clear. Mighty Morphin is something that's strong for me. It meant a lot to me when that show debuted. I stuck with it as long as I did. And I just think that there's enough there to still make it a viable franchise. But I know the challenge that it has. I mean, you have some people who have been diehards with this franchise for so long, know its lore, know its history, know that it's currently a thing that's continuing to happen. And then you have other people who are like, that's the thing I grew up with in the 90s and I haven't looked at it since. And how do you take that franchise and make all those people happy? And in all honesty, you're not going to. At some point, someone's going to have to decide to aim for one or the other and then just go all in on it. If you want to cater to the hardcore fans, fine. Cater to hardcore fans, make yourself stuff on the cheap, keep it niche, have fun with it, get a streaming service and pick it up, knock yourself out. If you want to try to attract mainstream audiences, if you want to go the Marvel route, fine. Break the chains of the past, do your thing, put it out there. Yes, there's going to be some videos of fanboys being like, what are you doing? But hey, at the end of the day, if you make a good product, someone just has to take a risk with this thing. 2017 took a risk, whether you liked it or not, which I think a lot of people did. It's funny to see how many people love it now, and it's like, oh my gosh, just make a sequel to it now. It's like, where were you in 2017? That's how you would have gotten your sequel. And I ain't calling no folks out, because I ain't looking at usernames, but I'm pretty sure some of y'all were back in 2017 being like, oh, this piece of shit. And now you're all like, I wish I had a sequel. It was so good. Too late. You had your chance. But they gotta do something, man, because I hate to break the news to you. If you're trying to ride Power Rangers off the nostalgia wave, the nostalgia train is making a lot of new stops and leaving some of their old stops. The 90s is starting to look ancient for some folks. 2000 and 2010s is nostalgia nowadays, man. So Power Rangers, if you want to do something, you gotta do it fast, or you might have to up your nostalgia game to later seasons and start playing around in that, because you might have some 2000 kids or 2010 babies who look at Power Rangers from that era as their Power Rangers, and you may need to cater more to them now. You maybe need to go in that era. I don't know. All I know is I hope something happens for you. I hope somebody picks you up, dusts you off, puts you back out there again. I know in some cases I also think sometimes you should take a break, but then I worry about that too, because you go away too long, Power Rangers, I would worry if you come back. You can always do reversion seasons again. All right, let's all be showrunners and network executives. What do you think Power Rangers should do? What do you want to see next for them? What would make you happy with Power Rangers in the future? No matter what your level of fandom of Power Rangers is, what do you think they should do for the future? Thank you for listening to all the rambling that I just did just now. I appreciate it. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Bounty 5000. May the power to protect you. And if you really need Power Rangers in your life, there's a bunch of comics I ain't even caught up yet. Go read those. Or go watch Hyperforce. See you at Morphicon!
this hand. All right, I think I'll lay off on the stickers for now. I'll just show if he does come with this, the input magnum. This is the
Enjixlove123. Best and cheap viewers and followers on cut.ly/yepbm8f4.
Fuck off, bot. By the time he uses the pulse saber, they get the pulse sabers. He does not have the stinger blade anymore. He has the stinger drill, but you know, whatever. Get off of that and slide up here. What's the point? It's not a stand mount. So there he is, Blue Beat with the Stinger Blade and the Pulse Saber. Stinger Blade can be switched out for the Stinger Drill at your leisure. Need some touch-ups, but I am happy for now. I shall call it a night. Thank you all very much for coming out. I will be back next week to build the Super Blue Beat parts and Black Beat, or possibly do that in reverse. No, because Black Beat came first. Anyway, be back next week with the other one, with Black Beat, and then remains to be seen. I still need to build. God, I still need to build the attack booster. I might do a midweek stream. I don't know. To build the Blade Liger attack booster, we'll just have to see what happens. Something will happen eventually. I don't know. I'll be back definitely next week building Black Beat, and the Super Blue Beat parts might be the following week. I don't know. I'll try to fit in the attack booster parts for Blade Liger midweek or something. or I just build them off. I don't want to build them off camera, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. After that, let's see. The next in line is Kuga Pegasus form and the real grade Gundam Epion, and then the Psycho Gundam, and then by that point my package from Japan should be here with a bunch more stuff. And if not, then I'll take a break for a bit. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Thank you all very much for coming out. Have a great night, and stay safe. All that stuff. Goodbye.